Doing an exam in Honorlock is a great way to have randomized questions and still guard the integrity of the exam. So let me walk you through how to do it. Step one is to make an exam in Webassign. And so here, one of my practice exams, I'm just going to pretend that it is an actual exam. Let me show you the settings that I use for an exam. They are allowed to submit multiple times, but the grading is only based off the last answer that they submit. Randomized numbers, which of course has to be programmed in, and the question order, I also want that random. So the question 1 for one student is question 7 for a different student. And down here, I turn off the ability for them to see whether the answer was right or wrong, or any part of their score, so that they don't know whether they're getting the right answer. They have to finalize their submission and go with that as their test answer. So having made this, I saved it as a template so I don't have to change those settings. I just know that as an exam, there it is. At the end, by the way, I can do released exam 1, exam 2, and the difference between a released exam is, number one, this setting, it's now in the category so that it actually counts towards their grade. Before, it was practice exam, which meant it didn't count towards its grade. And down here, now everything is turned on after the due date so that they can see their scores and their responses. Having set up the exam so that it runs the way I want, I'm going to come here to the schedule button and I'll see where the exam is scheduled as far as when is it available, when is it due, and this is important because if you don't want them to be able to see the exam early, then you just say, when is it available? Right now it's available at the start of the course, but I could say, available 2 weeks before. That seems long. You'd probably only do a few days before the deadline. And set the deadline, and this is when they can't access the exam anymore. You can, of course, change that for individual students. These icons right here are important. The way you edit those is by saying, I want to look at the restrictions. And that's going to tell you the password for the exam and the time. So give it a password and hide it so the students can't see what the password is. And then remember what you put there. A timed assignment, 50 minutes, for example. Although if you're using Honorlock, you could make it longer because you're not paying a proctor. I mean, we have an agreement with Honorlock already. So if you're doing it in class, though, then 50 minutes, of course, is restricted because you have to clear the classroom after that. Here's where you can click on and tell certain students, for example, with disability services, that they can get more time. So having set all this up, I now have an exam that can be used. The next step is to go into Canvas. And I'm going to put this in my development course so the students can't see it while I'm playing with things. And there's the Honorlock LTI. By default, it won't be showing up, so you got to go into Settings and Navigation, and you'll find it down here in this list, and so then I dragged it up. If it's down here, the students can't access it, so going up here, going up there, now students can get access to it. Now, the very first time I clicked on this, it asked me to log in, and I didn't have a login, so I put in my email address. That was already in, so my scottcrawford@tamu.edu had apparently been put in at some point, but I just clicked on create a new password and they sent me an email, clicked on that, and that let me reset my password so that I was able to log in. And now I don't have to anymore. Every time I go into Canvas, it just automatically puts me into Honorlock here. So I have here the exam that I was playing with before, but let's create a new one. Register a third-party exam. That was in this menu right here, register third-party exam. And so exam name, let's do exam 1. When does it start? This is when, so changing these doesn't really matter. You can make them broader than you need because Webassign is already controlling access to the exam. So I'm going to make this start, yesterday. That way I can start playing with it immediately. And when does it end? I'm going to make it long after the exam because it doesn't matter. Webassign will control it. Here's where I got to remember the password was the thing that I put into Webassign as the password for the exam. And this is in Webassign. Other settings, I do want to record the webcam and their screen and log web traffic. There's a lot of debate right now as to how much they can actually record, but you want students to believe you can record more than you can. Use their student photo for an ID, yes. That way somebody at Webassign will actually try to check because I'm really bad with faces, so I hope they do that for me. Room scan, can you look around the room? Yes, great. Manual review, this one's grayed out. You can't click it, and that's because it's very expensive to have a person specifically go through each session individually. Can they use a calculator? Sure. In fact, scientific is fine. I don't care. Limit browser activity. Yeah, I want this one, and I want to tell you which websites they are allowed to go to. Simulated is interesting. Make it look like you're proctoring, but don't really. What do I want? I want, for example, my web page, because I have stuff on there, such as the stat. I can't speak and type at the same time. ftable.html. I want them to be able to access that because that's how they're doing their probabilities for the normal distribution. Also, sendgauge.com. If they should be logging in just straight into Webassign, so I'm going to add webassign.net. I guess the www. Now, some teachers like to put the whole URL for the exam itself. That's doable. What I do is I go to Open Student View, so that then I can see things the way a student sees it. Into the class I've been testing things on. There it is. And up here I have the URL that tells me where it is. If you choose to go that route, then you would certainly want to have a link so that the students can find it without having to sign in. But I just find that to be more problems than I need. Here, they can sign into Webassign. If it goes through Cengage, that's fine. They can sign in that way and go take their exam and pull up my applet. But these are the only URLs where they should be. Student guidelines. They shouldn't have the book open, but they can have notes. I'm okay with that. I want them to be using scratch paper. This one's tough. Can they go to the bathroom? I choose to say fine. Students don't necessarily know that. It's only ones who need it and ask for it. Handheld calculator, yeah, sure. Can they use headphones? Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Is someone really going to be talking to them through headphones? Well, how about background noise? If they want music, they can turn it on, but let us hear it too. Can they wear a hat? Well, I guess if I'm allowing them notes, it's not like that hat's going to be all that bad. It could hide their face so that they could be looking at a paper, but they could also be looking at their scratch paper. So, sure, I'm okay with this. Extra accommodations, right? If you feel like something needs to be explained in more detail, there you go. Use the exam visibility that they always have. Okay, great. So now we have this exam here, and let me show you what it looks like on the student's end. And I like to make a little video showing students, hey, this is what it looks like, so that when they go through it, they can see that too. So I'm going to come down here to the settings and open up a student view so that it looks the way it looks to them. Come here to Honorlock, and it'll say, okay, exam 1. Now, when I pull it up, it's going to say, okay, you got to have the Honorlock extension. So you agree, get started, and it takes this long to, oh, I was about to show you how fast it was, but I guess I didn't actually click on it. Add the extension, and it's done. Is it? I assume so. Yeah, okay, there we go. Honorlock has been added. Okay, great. Now I can launch it. Here we go. Launch the proctoring, and it pulls up this little window. Oh, well, okay, so this computer here, I have 2 displays. That's a problem. So I'm going to switch to my old beat-up laptop, which proves if it can run on this thing, it can run on anything. So this is where we left off. Let's launch the proctoring, and it has a little window. It says, put your face in that window, and if I put my face in, hang on, I got to figure out what direction my face goes in. Now, because I was facing the window, it actually might cause problems. And yeah, oh, well, it actually took that. Now it wants to see my ID. So I'm going to take my ID and show it up to the window. And now, see, I can't hold my ID and press the button. Okay, took me 3 tries and I had to angle the laptop away from the window. The next part is the 3D scan. That's where they show their desk and they show everything around. And so that you can clearly see there's no webcam watching me, which is you, and of course there is. So this video will probably get flagged as the 360 room did not clear, and that's okay. As the teacher, I'm going to just recognize that happens. So then the next step, it says, do you want to launch the screen recording? Yes, please. And which screen? Well, there's only one, so yes, we're sharing that screen. And then it says, okay, and it shows me a little video of watching me. But it says, now we're ready to begin. So what I'm going to do is go back into Webassign and I'm going to log in. And by the way, I noticed, so this is a fake student account, and I noticed it logged me into Cengage to get me there. So that's why I wanted to make sure Cengage was on my whitelisted section. Let's view it. Here it pulls it up, and there is the exam sitting right there. Now, because I put a password on it, when I click on it, it's going to pull up and say, first off, this is timed, so are you sure you want to start your timer? Yes. Second off, it's password protected. So I'm going to click on here, and then over here where Honorlock is recording my video, they have a little button right here that says Insert Password. So I put the cursor here on the password part, and then I click Insert Password, and there it does it. And that was the My Password thing that I had as the password for it. Let's verify. Ching! And now the button down here that says Launch Assignment is going to turn blue. Oh, I know what the problem is. This particular account I've been playing with so much I actually ran out the 50 minutes. So hang on, let me put some more time on. This is really useful for any time a student has problems and you're like, hang on, I'll put more time on your exam and that's okay, we can fix this. Here is where I was editing the restrictions. You'll see the password that I was using and timed. And grant time for extra students. Well, here's my fake test student. I'm going to give him a new 50 minutes because and when I refreshed the page, it just instantly took me right in. So there we go. Students can go through, take the exam. When they're done, I mean, if they want to see what the webcam's seeing, you can click here, and that's I can't show you that it's seeing me and you because this is angled weird. When they're done, they just say time to exit Honorlock, and it pulls up and says this is going to stop your proctoring session. You say okay, and it closes it all out. And that's it, they're done. And I forgot to mention, this is fun, when they exit Honorlock, it says right here, uninstall Honorlock. They put a great big button there, easy for the students to see. And I think that's because there's been a whole lot of debate about, is Honorlock spyware? Is it morally okay to tell students they have to do this? They understand that. It's only during the exam that you have to have Honorlock. They made it super easy to take it off with that button. And at the end, what you'll get as a teacher is a little dashboard of, here were 12 incidents that looked suspicious. And so you click on one, and it's the roommate coming in. Are you done with your test? No, don't talk to me. And you click on the next one, and somebody dropped their pencils. They actually rank them as to how serious it is. And so you can go through them quickly. And once you get down to where it's not very serious anymore, and you're like, okay, the rest of this, I probably don't even need to view if they were less serious than this. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask, and good luck. I've done drained it all. And now I can go back to the other one.